The video that you're about to watch is an excerpt from a live webinar. If you enjoy the contents of this video, please like and subscribe. I'd love to hear your comments. Thanks for watching. Physiologically, we find the ancestors in the body as the DNA and the epigenome around the DNA that is like the software. If you think of the DNA as the hardware, the epigenome is the software that tells the hardware what to do. Hence, our bodies are not just unified blobs, but the same DNA in every cell of the body shows up differently in different parts. You've got liver cells and eye cells and hair cells and etc., teeth cells and all that. So that's the epigenome interacting with the DNA. When awareness goes to the family and we are performing healing, which we're just going to do in like a moment here for the family, the epigenome is also affected. The DNA and the epigenome are affected. The epigenome is also responsible for repairing DNA and supporting its balanced development and the way it interacts with the cells and all that. So let's go in. The first thing that it's important for all of us to understand about the ancestral archive is that the unbroken chain of parents to children, parents to children, parents to children is comprised of those individuals who hit certain benchmarks in their life, right? They were able to pair bond successfully and stay together long enough to produce offspring. And then somehow those individuals were the ones that successfully did the work required to bring children to, through all the challenges that are involved in raising children to adulthood successfully so that they could then pair bond and so forth. So there's a pattern. There's a pattern of success, we could say. And the success isn't just based on making good choices and decisions. It's also based on good luck. It's also based on being at the right place at the right time. Chances are the chance of meeting the love of your life in many cases, maybe not in every case, but in a lot, we could probably assume that in a lot of cases, people met the person that they spent the rest of their lives with. A lot of cases, maybe not all. And maybe for each person it's a little different percentage or something like that. But that's also a factor, is individuals who dedicated the length of their adult life to the enrichment of their experience and understanding of love. Because it can take a whole lifetime. It can take a lifetime. Love is so beautiful and it's so fundamental to the functioning of this universe at a very abstract level that there's a lot in it. There's a lot to it. So some of the ancestors at least spent their whole lives dedicated to cultivating not only an intellectual or emotional understanding, a wisdom about love, but also all of the changes and effects that occur in the nervous system as a result of that. There's a whole neural network around the heart area and in the chest area. So there's certain changes that take place. And it's not to say that those who did and those that didn't, we're not passing judgment on anybody, right? But the reason I bring it up is it colors the feel of your ancestral archive. It makes the ancestral archive have a certain specific quality to it that is unique to the ancestral archive. And what's really important about this, and this is an activation now for the ancestors, what's important about this is the relationship between the damage caused by mistakes, misunderstandings, insufficient knowledge of reality, and how all these aspects, which are very human, we weren't made to know every single particle of everything that ever existed from the beginnings and ends to the ends of time like that. That's why we have a relationship with the divine, right? Because the divine covers that end of creation. As individuals, especially for individuals who, for whatever reason, weren't fully awakened or fully developed in their consciousness. They were just working with what they had, sometimes partial expressions of intelligence and partial understanding of reality and all that. And so as a result, there's this whole part of the ancestral archive that is dealing with the karma, ancestral karma, and there can be transgenerational karma also that passes from parent to child. So that's a whole thing, right? And it shows up in the epigenome and can show up as genetic imbalances and stuff, the way the body ages and all that, illnesses that will pass down in families to a certain degree, like a propensity toward heart disease or, digestive problems or whatever. Juxtaposed, and this is why I talked about the love at the beginning, juxtaposed to the blessing that comes from the actual recognition and understanding of the true value of the human soul. So you've got this sort of field of collective karma or family karma that all of us are dealing with to some degree or another. And then you've got next to it, also with it, as in the ancestral archive, we've got this truth. It's like a truth that the value of the human soul is that human beings fulfill not just physical material precepts, would that be the right word? Not just physical material intentions in their life, but we fulfill this sort of cosmic reason for existing. And the cosmic reason is that as human beings, we live in a field that gives us experience of the whole range of darkness to light. Our world goes all the way from dark to light. And we're literally made, our bodies, if you look at how the body is made, it's made as an instrument for awareness to focus. It really is. Even though we're not allowed to see everything, right? We have only 5 senses, not infinite senses. And I've said these things before. But we do have this ability to bring our awareness into the darkness and transform the darkness with awareness, to uplift it, to bring truth to illusion, to bring wholeness to partial expressions of creation. When we do that, we're participating in a cosmic action. We're participating at a universal level of creation, of what humans do as the instruments of the divine. Everything in creation is an instrument of the divine, right? Because God made everything. So that ability is what defines the value of each person. And that value outweighs all the karma. So there's all this karma. So the beauty is, here's the beauty of it, okay? This is us going together into this healing. So we've got this body of ancestral karma. And if we go into our ancestral archive and we go in with the awareness of the intrinsic value of every single ancestor that we have, not looking at the ancestors as a bunch of losers and idiots, but looking at the ancestral archive as those who actually successfully managed to do the pair bonding and the successful raising of children and all that, and go into that with this level of respect and humility and appreciation for the ancestors and what that takes to do that, because it is a big thing. It involves that structure. The whole pair bonding and the raising children requires the individual to exercise, and other things do too, but everything we do requires us to exercise the ability to bring our awareness into the areas that are incomplete and insufficient and not good enough and creating problems at the surface of life, etc., and to shine the light of our intelligence in there and to transform that problem into a blessing. So we're going in, we're looking at the ancestral archive, and what we're seeing is there's this body of karma. There's held in the fabric of the DNA and the epigenome. There's this structure for each of us. It's a little different. I'm looking out into the field. I'm looking at everybody, how it shows up slightly differently for each person. And the light that we're shining, just the angle of the light, is very simple. We're just shining the angle of the light that no matter how bad that is, no matter how nasty or insufficient or heavy the karma is, it is not heavier or worse on the spectrum of good to bad than the value of your soul. And when I say your soul, I mean all of your ancestors. I'm speaking to all the ancestors now. It's not greater than the value of your soul within the context of your relationship with the divine, because God sees you. God sees how beautiful you are. God sees how glorious this fundamental nature of a human being is, how precious it is, how essential it is within the context of the transformations that occur in this universe, not just here on Earth, you guys, because everything we do and say and think it propagates out through the field and it goes out to the whole universe. So every time you shine your light into a problem area, like the karma, as we are now in our ancestral field, and we light it up, we put it in context, we shine the lens of God upon that karma. And it illustrates, it shows the ancestors that their self-definition must include their intrinsic value as beings. And when it does, as this shining is happening, all those problems, all that karma, all those moments of making mistakes and insufficiency and all that is nothing. It's an illusion. Maybe it's not absolutely nothing, but it's insignificant in the light of the actual value of the human soul. And as such, it is easily subject to transformation. That karma, that weight, that family karma, just taking a moment and feeling that family karma through the lens of God, and seeing that it's small compared to the actual nature, the actual truth of who everyone in the ancestral archive is. So that the presence of the ancestors is this just beautiful, luscious, precious, wonderful, sweet, filled with the most glorious, tender love of the relationship between each individual in your ancestral archive and God, each one with their individual relationship, so beautiful. Like that's the foundation. And then we look at the karma. We look at the karma and it's bad, like we've been through wars and we've been through sufferings of all sorts and kinds. You go back, the Black Plague in Europe, and we can go back and name this, that, and the other. For all of it, for all of it, for all of it, all of that karma suddenly becomes malleable. It's no longer the anchor of individual definition. The ancestors are shifting, and the shift, as it occurs in the epigenome. The ancestors shift their sense of self or their sense of self-definition, no longer basing that sense of self definition on all the mistakes they made and all of their insufficiencies and their inability or whatever, or the, what they left undone in their lives or whatever, or the actions that they took that rippled out and had repercussions on other individuals and all that, all of it. And what I see happening is forgiveness is flowing, like a lot of forgiveness flowing. Like that's the light medicine. That's the energetic that's penetrating through the ancestral archive. Forgiveness for all of it. And with the perspective of the actual nature of each individual, it becomes so much easier. It's like everyone is liberated to take actions and to carry beliefs and to think and decide and do what they need to do based on this sort of fundamental truth of themselves, rather than taking actions based on the definition of themselves as insufficient and not good enough and disposable and worthless and all that. That choice or decision to shift over and then amend patterns of behavior, whether the ancestors, they're in the spirit world or they're reincarnated, or it doesn't matter, or you are also them. Those of us who we incarnate into the same DNA line sometimes and all that, it doesn't matter. Wherever the soul is, the soul receives the healing. You can imagine how many ancestors might have reincarnated, being alive today in various places in the earth. Everybody receives as far back as it needs to go in order to fulfill the intentions of the divine for this healing. It's a shift over in self-identity for the ancestors. And what it does is it helps to align them with natural law in such a way that actions and choices and decisions and behaviors are based on the spiritual value that human beings provide in the creation, rather than based on something less than that. And then it happens in the epigenome and in the DNA. So we're just going to take a second, because the shift has moved so that it's gotten all the way through, as I've been speaking, all the way through those subtle layers, and it's in the body. It's happening now. So we're just going to close the eyes for a second, put the awareness on the body, and feel the cells, all the cells of the body, the great field of the collective, of the intelligence of all the cells of the body, and into the subtle fabric of the cells. The epigenome, which is an electromagnetic spectrum of energy around the DNA, it's produced by ionized proteins. So right there, and the whole thing, as we're feeling into that, and awareness can do this. Your awareness can do this. It can go like under the microscope and feel into every cell of the body. Why not? Our awareness can do anything. Is offered back to the seat of God, to the lap of God. scintillating light, moving through every cell of the body, moving through the nucleus of every cell of the body, so the core of every cell, realigning with God's will, realigning with the laws of nature, upholding the actual reason that we're here as human beings, and supporting everyone's ability to quickly and efficiently, it's great malleability, right? Reorient thinking and feeling and decisions and choices, actions, to reflect divine intention on earth at all times. And that includes the way the cells show up, right? Because when we're making that move down at that deep level, that deep subcellular level, it means that the cells become healthier. The cell walls become more integrated, and the cells are able to release toxins more easily and absorb good nutrients more easily, and the metabolism within the cells is more efficient. And it's like it renews the body. It renews the body, like making the body youthful again or something. So the body acts the way it did when we were young, before corruption had found its way in. The other thing I see for some of the people in the session is it's also making more efficient the immune system and the ability to sort through the fabric and tissues of the body and remove toxins that are lodged or sitting in places that are not supporting optimal health, hidden, hidden deep in, like, between cells and stuff like that. The cells become more intelligent. And if there's two cells like this, but they've got like a little piece of toxin between them like that, they're like, wait a minute, this guy, he doesn't belong here. And then just like, the two cells, they can work together to push that little toxin out into the lymphatic system and eliminate. Because everybody in the Ancestral Archive, this is the reply from the Ancestral Archive, actually, this thing I just described. Everybody in the Ancestral Archive knows who they are. Now they know who they are. Now they act. The Ancestral Archive, the ancestors as a collective, act in a more coherent and organized and intelligent group fashion. This is the gift that you have given your ancestors today. This is the gift that keeps on giving. The harmony in the family, increased harmony in the family. Those little toxins, they represent like little discord between family members, right? And the forgiveness as it flows helps everyone see the experiences and the interactions that they've had with their other family members through the lens of the divine, so that they see that it's really, even the most difficult situations are there for the sake of everyone's growth, and the really awful situations drive everyone who's involved back in to examine their placement and their relationship with the divine, so that placement, that anchor, is better placed. It's better structured so that everything that rises up out of that deep field, that foundational field, results in actions, choices, decisions, etc. Better thoughts, better aligned with natural law,